This is a short bite episode of Homeschool Together. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together Short Bite Edition. Thanks so much for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about another book. We talked about a book last week. This week we're going to talk about a little bit different book. A series of books from National Geographic called, basically they're all titled the same way. The little kid's first big
book of
fill in the blank. So dinosaurs and space and I think
ocean bugs. We've got animals.
How many total we have? We have about 8 of them now?
I think we have about 8.
These have been really, really helpful when we get into certain topics or certain discussions. We've used them in our Around the World journey. We've also used them a little bit in the space science journey that we've been doing with Blossom and Roots Space Science unit study. And these are really, really great books. They're basically written for a young learner, very graphically, very visual, very beautiful.
Yeah, they're perfect for that kinder to second grade, kinder to third grade, maybe. I mean, they've got information here that I didn't know. But they're written with nice big font, about 125 pages a piece.
How much were you getting these for?
These are anywhere between like $12 and $15. They're not super expensive. They are always on the buy two get one free sales, so you will always find these books.
And they're all yellow, so we call them the yellow books. So when they're on the shelf, you can see them. They kind of stand out, and they're all bright yellow color. Really, what I like these is like a reference book. So the one thing that
kind of like a reference book light, they're not as big as some of the other big DK books.
We've been using them, and the thing that Ariel's been kind of closetly doing over the last year and a half is kind of building out a nice, like kind of a suite of spine books and reference books that we can point to and reference when we are doing our curriculum. So like, for example, if you're doing your Around the World journey and you hit a couple countries that are really famous for having like underwater stuff, like Australia.
Right. Like I'm looking at great white shark right now. We use this week.
I think I talked about sharks the other day when we were in South Africa. And so I love to pull these things down, find a chapter. They have a really nice table of contents at the beginning. And you can say, oh, great. This, there's a section in here that I can read. We'll put that into the crate. And when I get to it that week, I'll just pull it to that section. It takes 5 or 6 minutes and you can read a little. It's almost like an additional nonfiction book in your Around the World journey or any type of effort that you're doing. Like if you're doing sort of like a prehistory thing and you need a good dinosaur book, this one has it. And you can just reference, whatever section you need or whatever thing that you need to pull in. It's a great little spine that's just kind of like an on-demand spine because there's so many different versions of these books and so many different topics they touch. You will inevitably hit on one of them. And so this is something you've been collecting. I'm really happy we have these.
Yeah, I think they're great. One thing about these is they're not super comprehensive. Yeah. They are made for littler kids. They basically, like this one I'm looking at here, the first big book of the ocean. It has a bunch of main focuses. It like picks some of the most popular animals. Let's see. Let me go to the table of contents here. So it basically goes by ocean: Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, Arctic, and it talks about some of the most famous animals in there. So each animal will get, between 2 and 4 pages with beautiful full color photographs. And that's it. It's not talking about it's not an encyclopedia. It's not a comprehensive. Yeah. If you've looked at the DK Ocean ! Book, that is like
more comprehensive.
That is a super comprehensive book. This is really just focusing. You can say to your kid like, "Oh, let's read about sea otters today," and it'll take you 5 minutes to read these couple of pages about sea otters. It's very high level, but it's filled with like very interesting facts.
And visually, it's something that a little kid can just sit down and just peruse right at their leisure.
Yeah, and our daughter loves to pull these down and just look through them. You can often find them. Sometimes you can find them at thrift, not too often, but you can find them on like used book sites and things. Oftentimes I've gotten them for like $12, and then they're on the buy two get one free sale. So I got them for under $10, and they're just such a nice reference to have around, because I think that those other books, while we do have like DK Ocean and Dinosaur and these other ones, Animal, they're so much higher level. even though they are meant for kids, that they're just way above a kinder or first grade level. And I think she gets overwhelmed by the amount of text in some of those books. Whereas these, even though she can't read the book yet, it's much more accessible. They're with beautiful color photographs. Like the dinosaur book, for example, goes through all these species of dinosaur. Every
like giant dinosaurs,
every
small
spread
dinosaurs, meat
is
eaters.
yeah, and it's broken up by the size of dinosaur. So it starts with the small, big, large, gigantic, and each 2-page spread is a different dinosaur, and it gives some fun facts about that dinosaur, like
Really pretty drawing. Yeah.
yeah, how to pronounce the name of the dinosaur.
I'm not even going to try that dinosaur's name.
No, a pretty picture and like a picture of them standing next to a human man. So it's about the same size. So I always say, look how much taller it would be than Daddy, or smaller than Daddy. And a couple of cool facts about the dinosaur. And then it moves on, right? It just doesn't have to be comprehensive, but I think it's perfect for these early learners. So if you're looking for reference books,
like targeting like I'm thinking like sub 8 years old, maybe, because once you get above that, I would then recommend the DK books, because there's just so much more.
I think
there's just
that's
so much
true.
more there. Like
I think 8 and below, probably.
I think even if you just keep them around to like 8 years old and maybe 9, it's maybe something that they'll be able to start reading themselves at that point.
Right.
But then you would just want to have like a better book, like the DK books that we have, like for dinosaurs. And
Yeah.
whatnot, so.
I mean, I think that this
These
is
are
true.
good for like 5, 6, 7
This
year
is for little kids, and I think it is for that, early elementary set. But I highly recommend these books. I feel like they're a good investment to make. Even if you pick them up now, I'm sure you can resell them as a set later. I think that they're a great thing to buy and have around your house and pull from as needed. So we wanted to cover this, the National Geographic Little Kids First Big Book of blank. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
Happy homeschooling!